What's going on, y'all? Welcome to today's episode of Solutions. I'm Cam, and on today, I'm going to be discussing how Black people may still be enslaved to this day. So make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And we also going to cover some ways that Black people can make it out of where we are right now. So make sure y'all stay tuned. In this video, I'm basically going to be discussing specifically diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, as well as the support of Black-owned businesses or the lack thereof. So some of you all may be young watching this video thinking like, what does this have to do with me and how does it translate to slavery, right? That's what everybody's thinking. In my eyes, the two aspects that I just mentioned means that it'll make it more difficult for our younger generation to become entrepreneurs, on top of the fact that most parents nowadays try to suffocate the idea of their children becoming business owners. It'll reduce the ability for you to access the capital that's necessary for you to build your brand, just because when you go to a lender, they either looking at your financials or they looking at your experience. And as far as experience, if you going to school right now, like my boy Jay went to a job fair, he go to Southern University in Baton Rouge, it's an HBCU. And he was like, the job fair is nowhere near what it used to be after the rescinding of these diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. So how will you get experience if you can't get skilled jobs in an environment where they literally are instilling skills in kids like college? So in my eyes, that means that we need to work together in order to build and rebuild our own communities. Because if other people build up our communities, they'll do it for their benefit. As we see now in the Chicagoland area, people are starting to develop the areas where there are monuments coming up or landmarks like the Obama Museum or the $7 billion development that was introduced on the west side of Chicago around the United Center. That's when the white man decides, okay, this is prime real estate and we're gonna develop this area. But once we realize that the tide is turning, most of the time it's already too late. So for us specifically, we have to be the ones to determine, hey, we're gonna turn our own communities around. One aspect that's huge that I just alluded to briefly is the fact that it'll literally be harder for you to land jobs. Like, I say start a career. In my eyes, that's where you're really getting the experience that's necessary for you specifically to have your specialized skill set. And your skill set is different from the next person. So if we don't have enough specialized individuals in our community, now we aren't able to build and rebuild our own community the way that we need to. Like recently we had a, what is it called? A blackout day? Yeah, recently we had a blackout day. Yeah, we're not gonna spend any money for 24 hours. I think it was February 28th. And in my eyes, yes, that's a good start. But I'm always solution oriented. How can we take it a step further? We all know damn well that Thursday or that Saturday, you have to go get whatever you needed. Like, we need Black-owned brands that sell toilet paper. We need Black-owned brands that sell all the essentials, the day-to-day things that you need to buy. Because us saying, okay, we're not gonna buy anything, is not a long-term strategy. It's good for us temporarily to show that we serious or whatever, but communication alone reduces the effectiveness of that. But if you bring in high-quality Black-owned businesses, and then we're supplying those jobs, like instead of the job fair being primarily Caucasian-owned companies or whatever, non-Black-owned companies, now you got Black-owned companies coming into the HBCUs, coming into their job fairs. Now it's a cultural thing. A little baby side note, I do want to say, don't allow your goal to become an entrepreneur to deter you from getting a job just because you take a job for what you can learn, not what you can earn. Yes, that's a secondhand quote. I don't remember who it came from, but that's something that's huge and it's stuck with me. Like, you being able to go and get these specialized skills from an individual that's already in a position that you want to be in, or a company, even if you don't know the owner specifically, that's priceless. And that's something that you can take with you anywhere. Ultimately, that's the difference between a career and a job, are these skills that you're accumulating that you can take and that will translate across the board. Because you can go work for a company that's in the same industry that you're going into and build relationships with people that you can collaborate with when you decide to be an entrepreneur. You will have capital. As far as the lending process, it'll make it much easier for you to access that capital because it'll improve what's called your narrative. Your narrative is like, okay, you want to buy a civil engineering firm. It makes sense because you work for ComEd. If you like, I want to buy a civil engineering firm, and you couldn't get this job at ComEd because they weren't hiring at your school because diversity, equity, inclusion policies were rescinded, you got your hands tied. And the person is, you looking to buy this civil engineering firm, they're not gonna look at you the same way. They're gonna look at you as though you're inexperienced, as though you have no business shopping for this. So in my eyes, if we don't create our own economy, we're gonna be pushed out. That actually leads me to my next point. All of these concepts combined literally contribute to the statistics. Some of you all may be numbers people. Black people in 1910, we own 14% of the land in the United States. As of 2022, we own less than 1% of the land in the United. Like, I need you all to actually process that. Like, coming out of slavery, we own more land than we do now. And some of y'all may be watching this like, well, what does any of this have to do with slavery? In my eyes, if you're living at minimum wage, back in the 1900s, $12 an hour is the equivalent of the manna, which is just like the crops, the leftovers that they give you on a daily basis. And they keep you in a mentality where, because the hood is not a place, the hood is a mentality. That's important to mention. You don't even know that you can make it out. You're not thinking, what do I want to do with my life? You're thinking in a survival mentality. And that survival mentality is what keeps us where we are. For those of you all that are unaware, Chase actually rolled out a build to rent program. Some of you all may be thinking, okay, cool. No. The problem with that is they're removing the equity aspect from the American dream. The American dream already didn't involve assets. So when you remove the equity aspect, what do you pass on to your child? We don't have Black-owned businesses. Most people don't understand assets and liabilities in the first place. And then you remove the household. Now you have no choice but to rent, because me thinking long-term means that Chase doing this program and finding success in it means that every other lender is going to do the same thing. Because if you were a bank, you say you owned a bank, if you could build land and then rent it out and never give up equity, you only building that appreciation and collecting rent. Why would you build and why would you draft mortgages? Like, that's what they mean when they say history will repeat itself. A lot of people perish for lack of knowledge. All of these things combined makes it harder for us to build real, scalable, and transferable wealth, which basically guarantees our financial failure. With all that said, in the next video, I'll actually cover how if we don't get a hold on these aspects now, it could potentially literally make Black people go extinct. So, man, make sure y'all like and subscribe if y'all enjoyed the video, or if it's an aspect that I touched on, didn't touch on, make sure y'all drop that down below. I'm most likely going to transition into deep dives just so the content can be as specific as possible. Each video, okay, this is everything that makes up why Black people are kind of still enslaved to this day, and this video is a deep dive on every aspect of it and solutions, because everything on this channel is solution oriented. So drop y'all thoughts down below. Like, that actually helps me know how to create content. So make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and I pray that y'all have a blessed week. All right, bro.